Carolyn Dube here, and today I'm playing with Gelli prints. I've got a lot of prints sitting around my studio because of One Pull Wonders, my latest workshop. And a lot of people ask me, what do you do with them? Well, one of the things that I do with them is I use them with rubber stamps. So I'm going to give you a little intro into how to use these kind of prints with rubber stamps. These are the new stamps from Dylusions, and I absolutely adore these. I'm going to play with the bigger sets today. They actually do have a smaller set too. I'll save that for another day's play. I'm going to use archival ink, basically a waterproof ink as I do this, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them. So I'm just going to make sure it's waterproof so it doesn't matter what I do. I can make it work. These are cling mounted stamps, so I'm just going to mount them onto something. This happens to be a piece of plexiglass. The first time that I ink up a rubber stamp, because it's brand new, it hasn't been seasoned or used at all, I have to put a little more effort into inking it up. And I can tell that I've got enough ink on it because it looks completely dark and covered in areas. It's hard to see on camera, but it's much easier to see in person. So if you've got a new stamp, you may have to ink it a little bit more the first time. After the first time, I don't have to ink nearly as much on those. Because the pattern wasn't too busy with this, and it's a little bit lighter colors, the stamping is really easy and clear on this one. So you've got a stamped image right on top of the Gelli print, and you can see all the details in the stamping. That's not always the case, but we'll get to that later in the video. All right, so I'm going to grab a different print now and a different stamp. And with this one, this is a very busy print, and it's busy because it's got lots of lines, it's got lots of strong colors. It's just, well, very busy. So the stamp that I picked for this one, we'll see if it shows up as much because it's such a busy print. And the answer is no, it does not show up as much. That was just one very busy print for that stamp. Well, let's try a print that's not nearly as busy. So this was actually from cleaning off my brayer. And when I stamp on that, you'll see that it's a much clearer impression of the image. Now, it depends what you want to do with it. That one that was very busy and hard to see, that's still a very useful stamped image. And I'll show you that in a future video. And speaking of that, if you don't want to miss any of my future videos, make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. All right, so now I've got this print here. It's actually from the very first lesson in One Pull Wonders. And I've got wonderful big swatches of color on this, but yet I've got little bits and flecks of other colors in there. That makes it a very interesting background, but not an overwhelming or overpowering background. So I did the stripes one way now, or horizontally. Now I'm going to show you what they look like vertically when you run them through an image. Well, now I've got my last print, and I really want you to keep an eye on where her chin turns out, because that ends up being a big oops, but in the end, I really love how it turns out. So I stamp her on there, and she's going to stand out very, very well, but there's that white spot right at her chin from the actual print. And I gotta say, there's something that I really love about that oops. She is calling out to me to go into an art journal. But that's for another day too. And I don't want to wasting the print, so I'm going to stamp her again. Well, now I'm going to cut some of these out. I'm not going to cut them all out because I'm not a very patient, fussy cutter. But some of them cut extremely easily and very, very quickly. These first two, once I pull them off of the background and it's just them, they look really amazing, very interesting. You've got all this great painterly paint happening in there. And if I tried to plan that, yeah, I would have hurt my head trying to plan that. But the randomness of the Gelli plate gives me something wonderful and interesting. So I've got these that I can now work with in an art journal. Well, those were the easy cuts. Now I'm going to do a fussy cut. And I'm going to start out by sort of cutting around her, getting rid of the bulk of the paper. Of course, I'll save that and use that in something else. But just so it's a little more manageable as I'm doing this, so I can cut where I'm actually trying to cut. And then I'm just going to work my way around. I do a lot of turning the paper and not the scissors to get around in the crevices. One of the things that you may not be able to see, in part because of the camera, and I've got this on high speed here because it's really painful to watch somebody cut slowly, is that I'm cutting off some of the dots. This is really not precision. This is about getting the general shape of it. Sometimes the little dots that are around the hair parts, those got cut off. Sometimes they didn't. I call it an oops if I cut off too much. And as soon as I saw her all cut out and on white paper, she clamored to me to go into an art journal. All that wonderful Gelli pattern right there mixed with the stamp. So here are the three ladies that I cut out, and you can see how if you're going to have a lot of detail on the stamp, you probably want either a lighter color or you want big swashes of color in your Gelli print if you want the details of the stamp to come through. Well, this mixing of stamps and Gelli prints has totally got me excited to go art journal, so I'm going to wrap up this video so I can go play some more. Well, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and you think you have some friends that would enjoy it too, I'd love it if you'd share it with them. You can find the full blog post and links to everything that you've seen in the video over on my blog at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks for being a part of this colorful journey.